Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, from whichever time zone you're listening to me from. Hi, I'm Nayan Agarwal. I'm an emotional wellness and a success coach. Before I say anything else, subscribe to this channel and press on the bell icon so that you get a notification whenever I upload a new video, which is very often nowadays. I was coaching my group a couple of days back, and we were talking about. They had questions about, what is exactly is the ego? What do you think is your ego? Well, my take on it is ego is that part of you which tells you that something is not right. Something is not right in your worldview, what you perceive as right and wrong, your belief system and your the way of thinking that you develop or we all develop over the years growing up. What is not sitting right in that context is what the ego tells us about, that this is not right. So suppose someone says something to me and it is not agreeable to me, so somewhere it is not fitting into my worldview of how a conversation should be going between two people, right? So that is all that the ego does. Anything that follows from there is something that we add on because of our past patterns, past conditioning. We give it more meaning. This is not right, so this should not be so. Suppose someone says something, I perceive it as being unkind or rude. So then I build a story around it that this person said something, that person is unkind, that person is disrespectful. So all this gets added on just to that one notification from the sentry, which is the ego, saying that this is not fitting into your frame, right? So how can you use it to your benefit? What I think is that the ego just tells you what is not sitting right because your framework is somewhere limited by your belief system, by your conditioning all through the years. So, what the ego is basically nudging us to do is, okay, look at this fact which is not fitting here and see how to make sense of it by increasing the frame that you have. Maybe learning something new, maybe unlearning something which is stopping you from acknowledging this reality that is there in your life. It is not about the other person or the situation at all. It is about the ego reminding me that I have to move from the place that I am in and grow into that bigger potential that I am. Do you get what I'm saying here? So let me give you an example. Suppose I am hurt by something that someone says to me. I perceive it as unwarranted and unkind and disrespectful. So if I'm finding it not okay in my space, the ego has reminded me that this is not fitting into your view of yourself or and how you should be perceived by others. So if I have a certain view of that, then I can thing is not acceptable to me. How could this so and so person be rude to me, right? Now, if I increase that framework, what happens when I increase the framework? I start to see the other person in a different perspective. I start to understand that, like I have my stories, that person also has their stories, and that is what they are operating from, not myself at all. So it's not personal. Although they are speaking to me, they are speaking out of their framework. So I am not their framework, right? Or you are not someone else's framework. You are your own person who takes that realization from the ego and grows more and more, understanding the world around them. That the things that push you, nudge you, make you uncomfortable are there only for you to understand, be aware of, and grow from there. So, do you understand what I'm saying here? The ego is just a reminder, it's the sentry saying this does not fit in your framework. That's it. What you do about it will determine whether that ego is good for you or bad for you. So if you just make it, embellish it with your own stories about making it about the other person, the situation, or the world around you, then that ego, you have not really taken what the ego is telling you, and that ego is then bad for you because you have not really listened to what was being pointed out. The ego is yourself, right? It is just telling you you have a huge potential to grow into. So let go of this small frame and grow into that huge potential that you are, which is unlimited. That is all that the ego does. But if you understand this message and grow into your potential more and more every time you come across such incidents or situations, then the ego is super good for you, isn't it? Do you understand what I'm saying here? Please do share this video with anyone that you think will benefit from it. Bye for now. See you in the next video.